Hey, what's going on, good people? It is Jay Glass, the movement, and Richard Lewis Brown, President, Local 1000. And we are here to get on some breaking news that's only a couple of days old, but it has far reaching implications. And there's a lot that's probably going to shake out of this in a bit. Uh, and of course, if you all haven't been paying attention, the University of Michigan, former coach Sherron Moore was arrested on December 10th. He was arrested on December 10th for three actual charges, and we'll get into the charges as we go through this. And he was subsequently bailed out. He was allowed bail and bond on December 12th. So he is no longer sitting in a jailhouse, but he has been bonded out. Now, all of the details surrounding that bonding, I don't have just yet, but we will continue to reach
We
into this.
do. We got
Oh,
it.
all right. So Rich has them,
Oh yeah.
and we're definitely going to make sure we share as much as possible. So as always, if you have any input, I'm not live. I'm not taking guests on TikTok. However, if you want to weigh in, I always put the link on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube under the family bloodline. So hop on that, and we will we'll bring you up to the actual panel, and we will go on from there. So, with all that being said, Rich, by all means, go in.
All right. Listen, I'm excited. Today's December 14th, 2025. I reached out to Mr. Glass. He agreed to do this unscripted, unedited, unrehearsed within a day because this is a hot button issue. You've been
Yeah.
hearing this situation about Sherron Moore, former coach, University of Michigan football coach, terminated last Wednesday. He should not have been terminated.
Oh,
Okay, so stay with me. On this podcast, people have been talking all this stuff, particularly African American podcast hosts,
yeah.
talking all this chat. And I got a different spin on this. And so some people may like what I say, some people may not like what I say. Here's the first thing: innocent until proven guilty. He has
Yes.
not had his day in court. The whole black community, except for Jamel Hill, let me give her sister her shout out, and a few others have said, wait a minute, let's take a closer look at this. She's absolutely right. First thing, innocent until proven guilty. Second, the football staff employee that reported Mr. Sherron. Wait,
Yeah.
let me start this correctly. To the wife, to his beautiful wife and their
Oh,
two children.
absolutely.
I hope you have a good holidays. I hope that you and Sharon can make peace and keep your family together for the kids' sake. Okay? And let's just go and acknowledge it. His wife is Caucasian. She's a white woman. I don't
Yep.
care about that. They have beautiful children. So we don't want to see, quote, the black family, or for all of my cultured people, we don't want to see the biracial family broken up.
Yeah.
Okay?
I don't want to see. I don't want to see any families broken up. Truth be
All
told,
right.
I like families are essential to upbringing of children, and destroying that family. It doesn't just hurt the two people involved, the adults involved. It hurts the children primarily. I just wanted to point that out. Yeah. So we don't.
you don't hear that being talked on no podcast.
Yeah.
We are quick to say, Sharon Moore, you shouldn't have been messing with that white woman. We are quick to say that. Let me acknowledge this. I have cousins married to white women. So I have second cousins who are, quote, black, whose mothers are white, or biracial, or mulatto, however you wanted to describe them. And I love my second cousins the way I love my first cousins, the way I love my aunties and uncles, the way I love my mother. Okay? So we have people in our families who may not be of the African descent. And we love them with the same intensity that we love our own family members when they marry into our families.
Absolutely.
So we understand the history of racism in this country. And we understand the history that sometimes white women can scream bloody murder on black men and cause a revolution. Tulsa, Oklahoma, Emmett Till, I have my own family, Erastus Brown, July 10th, 1897. He was lynched for, quote, raping a white woman. So don't get it twisted. On the same hand, this lady who called that he allegedly had the relationship with, Paige Shiver, why is she still employed with the University of Michigan?
I am glad that you asked that question, because as I've begun to read a lot of the information, there was confirmation that yes, she is still actively employed by the university, right? And I question her intentions on releasing the information she did when she did it, right? So there had apparently been at least 2 year ongoing affair that they'd had. He ended up getting an increase. She also received a pay increase while working at the university, right? She allegedly she started at about 58 grand, and by the time the incident happened, she ended at 99 grand. That is a huge increase, right? And in my mind,
one site said 99,000, another site said 90,000.
So it said 90,000, and then at the end of it, up to current, there was an additional 9,000. Yeah, I saw the exact same article. Yeah, and so even when looking at the pay increase of the employee, and this is not to minimize the work that she might have put in at the university, she could have been stellar. She could have been absolutely stellar, but for a pay gap to decrease that much, and I'm not sure if she was tenured or not, but I don't know how that was orchestrated. I don't know if it was deserved. I'm just simply saying that it was a lot, and it makes me question the intentions behind the actual incident.
That pay increase was at his decision. That's what's been reported. It was his decision. Now, it was reported that allegedly he got her pregnant, and he said, well, I want you to have the abortion. Okay. This was a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And so he didn't want to pay for the abortion, so he wanted to give her a pay increase, a big one. So allegedly, she took the abortion if he actually slept with her. Because like you said, it was known, listen to this, everyone, this was known for 2 years. This was an open secret on the campus.
Yeah.
So he got her pregnant, allegedly. She had the abortion under his direction. She didn't have to have the abortion, but she decided to go on and have the abortion. She is over 21. Okay. And then he gave her this big pay increase. Allegedly, she decided on Monday of last week to
change. Yeah. Yeah. And her story changed. Right now, before we get to the breakup, let's also mention
after he had decided to turn, because allegedly the Michigan staff, whoever that Michigan staff is, said, hey, either you need to transfer her to another department where you're not her supervisor, or because she's the executive assistant working directly for Coach Moore, or terminate her. Allegedly, he decided to terminate her. When? We don't know. But allegedly, he didn't terminate her because she's still on the staff. So that story wasn't accurate.
I want to also point out that they updated their policy in 2021 about those types of relationships in the workforce. Okay. And that was part of the policy, right? The options were to terminate or to move one person, either campuses, divisions, or whatever the case may be, because in the military, it's called essentially fraternization.
Fraternization,
right? Yeah. And that it causes it hurts the morale, and it hurts the foundation of the programs that are under the two people who are engaging in those actual relationships. Now, with that being said, the ongoing investigation that they were having, they had a same story for a prolonged amount of time while the investigation was happening until here recently.
It changed. Then she denied it. They both denied it a few months ago.
Yeah.
So this was an open secret for 2 years. And then they get called to the carpet about it a couple months ago, and they both deny it. And now all of a sudden she says, oh, here's these text messages. I tried to break up with him. He's stalking me.
Yes.
Okay, he's stalking me. Well, wait a minute. I want to go back to something about failure to comply. Michigan Standard Practice of Guide Policies. Failure to comply with this policy will be subject to sanctions up to and including dismissal from the employment. I don't think they had to fire him. I don't think they had to.
If we go off of what you were saying and what the sister was saying previously, proven you're innocent until proven guilty, right?
Right.
And so the firing that happened, I don't know if that's a part of their policy, if they chose to take that option with him, since
No,
they
that's
didn't.
part of the policy. It says, quote, under their guidelines, failure to comply with this policy will be subject to sanctions
Hmm.
up to, you can do a sanction up to and including dismissal, but you didn't have to fire him if he was
Okay,
truly guilty.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, yeah.
We have not heard this on no podcast. We have not heard on no podcast. Why is it in the employment arena, if you're a supervisor, you have to report that you're sleeping with a subordinate, and then that could get you fired. But the subordinate can sleep with you, don't have to report it, and keep her job or keep his job. That's an unequal power balance. And if they say, well, because the supervisor has the power, so we can hold him or her to a higher level, I disagree with that. If you're going to fire the boss for sleeping with a subordinate, that subordinate should be subject to termination the same way.
I can agree with that.
But you never hear no podcaster, you never hear no one on TV say that if you're sleeping with your boss and your boss is terminated, you should be terminated just as well.
Shout out to Spike. Real quick, just for TikTok purposes, I'm not taking guests live on TikTok. However, if you want to switch over to Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube under the Family Bloodline podcast, I am putting the actual link in the comments, and you are more than welcome to hop on the panel from that area. All right, go ahead. Go ahead.
Now, let me tell you why I'm talking at such an elevated pitch.
Yeah.
It ain't just because he's a black man. It could be any man. The real reason why Sherron Moore was fired, because he lost to Ohio State. That's the real reason why. If they had beat Ohio State and got to the Big Ten championship, just got there, which would have made them probably eligible for the college playoffs. If they had to beat Ohio State, you wouldn't hear about this.
I don't. Well, no.
I'm telling you,
I can agree with the part saying that you wouldn't hear about this because they would have swept it under the rug. But I don't know if there's a direct correlation between the winning and the losing to Ohio State, because they're still going to the Citrus Bowl.
Yes. Yeah, but they finished with a 9-3 record. Here's the thing. A lot of times on this show we talk about racism. Okay. Talking about white people as a collective being still somewhat prejudiced or deeply prejudiced. Michigan had a former coach named Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Obviously, he likes black people because he put in his contract, when I'm no longer the coach here, I want Sherron Moore to be my successor. And they honored that. But they didn't want to. They didn't want to hire him. They didn't want they did not want him there as the head coach of Michigan, particularly after what Juwan Howard went through with the basketball team. Okay? They did not want him to take over. So they had to let him take over to honor Jim Harbaugh's contract, because he would have sued him probably if they had to put Sherron Moore as the head coach. He lost to Ohio State. He wasn't winning enough. And they said, good. Oh, wait, he's sleeping with someone outside of his marriage and she's a staff member? Get him out of here. We'll wait till the time is right. And the time is right now. Get him out of here.
So
because he's sleeping with him for almost 2 years, open secret. Everything's going fine. Then she tries to break up with him. He's like, no, what's going on? Talk to me.
And that's the hard part, is that it was a 2-year relationship, an affair, an extramarital affair that, quote unquote, secret, but it was known about, right? And I just want to also point this out as well, because when I was reading through information again, there was, now when he was going to his bonding, right? He had no prior investigations. However,
no prior criminal record, right?
No prior criminal record. The prosecuting attorney put in the write-up that he had a history of domestic violence against said victim.
That was a lie. That's an absolute lie. Because from what I got, let's go to this for a second, because he made the $25,000 bail. He's not a quote threat to society. He's not the scary black man running around here. He has a mental illness. Wait a minute, because I marked this. This is really important.
Okay.
This is really, really important about his mental illness or his mental health issues.
Yeah, because that was something that came under question, came under fire, and I agree needs to be assessed thoroughly for a person to barge into someone else's home, understanding that emotions are high, but
No
barging
evidence. No evidence of barging.
right,
There
right,
was no evidence of no breaking.
allegedly,
Allegedly, because they.
allegedly,
Mhm.
allegedly, according to the victim, barged into her house, her apartment, when she was 5 feet away from the door, uh, make his way to the kitchen, grab two butter knives and a pair of scissors,
Not a butcher knife.
not a butcher
Not a big threat. A butter knife.
knife, but butter knives,
Yeah.
serrated butter knives, right?
Okay.
So
A
with that,
butter knife. A
yeah,
butter knife.
and so I think that his mental health should seriously be analyzed and called into question to see exactly where he is, right? It becomes a bit of a crime of passion, and unfortunately, when people are at those types of emotions, they will do things that they wouldn't logically or normally do, and to throw that out in and of itself doesn't do him a solid. And I'm not advocating or taking up for him. I'm simply trying to make sure that
Right.
these playing fields are level, right? So because he knew that he had, after getting $30 million, right, he knew once the story broke and she turned him in that his life was over.
Let me read this to people, because you don't hear no one talk about this on these other podcasts. People need to really tune into this podcast, because we're going to tell you the whole story, not just a part of it. The conditions, because we'll talk about the charges, only one felony and two misdemeanor charges.
Right.
The conditions of Moore's release require him to wear a GPS tether,
Tether.
and continue, listen to this, and continue mental health treatment. Continue? Oh, so he's been having mental health issues for how long?
Yeah.
Because if you fire somebody who has a mental health issue, to me, that's a wrongful termination.
Yeah. Okay. I see where you're going with this. And
you don't hear that being talked about on these other podcasts. If they say, it's no if, continue mental health treatment. Well, when did the mental health start?
That's the question.
Because the wife called on that same day that he got terminated, because she said, hey, he came home, he's kind of distraught. I'm worried about him. Did the mental health problem start then? I would say, if I'm his defense lawyer, Counselor Simon, I would do a check. I would get a psychiatrist. This sounds like he's been having mental health issues for years. That's what I would do.
That's what I would, and again, that's why I think a serious mental check-in for him needs to happen, right? Because it doesn't talk about when it started, as you pointed out. It doesn't talk about when he began to suffer from mental issues. It just says continuing. And so, again, to be fair, if first off, if that's the case, the question comes to mind: did they fire a disabled person unjustly, in your words, right? Unlawfully.
And when they fired him, HR wasn't in the room.
Yeah.
That whole termination process was like, oh, she came in. So when you initially asked her, she said no. Now she comes in on Wednesday and shows you evidence, and now you want to fire him right away. But
yes.
Initially, you asked her stuff, she told you no. So what makes her so more credible now than then? Well, she gave us evidence. Well, if she had evidence then that she didn't show you then, but now she's showing you the evidence now that goes way back in time, then my question is to you, why is she still on the staff? She should have been terminated right then as well. But she knew that she went in there and gave the evidence that she wouldn't be terminated. That's wrong.
So you think that there was a bit of a backdoor deal that was made in order to secure her position?
No, I don't think it was a backdoor deal. But when you have it in your HR rules, if the supervisor sleeps with you and he or she doesn't report it, and then something goes sour, they get fired, but you keep your job. That's wrong. Because you knew that you shouldn't be sleeping with your supervisor. But you did it anyway. Because you knew that even if I get caught, so what? I won't lose my job. He or she will lose theirs. Well, what kind of nonsense is that? Well, we hold the supervisor to a higher standard. No, you hold all your employees to the same standard. That's the problem now. And so she's still going to work every day at $99,000 a year.
Well, I don't know. She does keep her job, but I don't know if she's actually showing up to work right now because of everything that's happening, right?
You can't fire. Well, hold on. You can't fire her now.
No,
See,
they can't.
This is the double standard that the Me Too movement has somewhat caused. So a woman knows I can sleep with my male boss. Something goes wrong. Hey, you raped me. Luckily, she's not screaming rape. See, this is really a deep issue. Who was that?
That's Key.
Oh, that's Key. Okay, so this is a deep issue because these women can accuse you of doing things that they were voluntarily doing with you, and then when things went wrong, they said he was stalking her. Well, hold on a second. They said they broke into her home. Here's the first count: 3rd-degree felony home invasion.
Right.
You got to prove that because there's no evidence of a break-in. Where's the damage at? Show me the pictures.
Well, yeah. So just taking it step by step. That's absolutely right. The first one, and I'm looking at them now. Felony 3rd degree, and so I was listening to a lawyer on another show earlier, saying that first off, the bond was too steep for the actual allegations, and this being a felonious ordeal is questionable, right? Because just like you said, even in the recanting of her story, she said that the doors were unlocked, at least according to her prosecutor. Her front door was unlocked. She was about 5 feet away as she was running out of the house, and that's when he opened the door.
Wait a minute. The door was unlocked.
Yeah.
So there was no breaking and entering.
There was no breaking and entering.
No.
So they
had a relationship, and then she's claiming that she broke up with him on Monday. Does those text messages suggest that she broke up on Monday?
That they haven't released the text messages, so I can't intelligently speak to it. But what I will say is kind of to your point. There was no forced entry, and there was something else. Oh goodness!
Listen to this other part. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good.
Because they have the misdemeanor for domestic stalking because he keeps sending her text messages. Because somebody keeps sending repeated text messages. Do your text messages say, "Hey, don't text me again. I'll consider stalking. And I will report you"? Did she say that, or did she keep talking to him? Did she say, "Well, hey, I don't want to do this anymore"? But he keeps texting her, and you keep going back and forth with him. Did you warn him? Hey, this is a warning text. You contact me again, I am going to contact the administration, or I'm going to contact the police because we're done. This is your final warning text. Did he get a message like that? I bet he did not. The next count, breaking and entering. We've already talked about that because that's a misdemeanor, and they already made it a 3rd-degree felony home invasion as well. He didn't break into her house. No, he didn't. This is.
Oh, so that was what I wanted to say. So according to the article I read, what it states is he entered the premises without verbal acknowledgement.
Okay. But he didn't. Hold on. Let me tell you what the media did. I read on one media site, they said, "Oh, well, he threatened her life." No, he did not. He threatened his own life. He never threatened her life. So when they claim that he was, quote, terrorizing her, no.
Yeah.
That's perfect perception of a scary black man.
Yeah.
O.J. Simpson. That's what that is.
And so those were conflicting details from the detective to the prosecutor, saying where one person is saying there was no direct threat to the victim's life, but it was to his after she had gotten on the phone with her lawyer. But the information the lawyer presented said that he was a threat to her. So those are two conflicting details in the actual case.
Let me tell you like this. If he was a threat, this is where we can make it a racial thing. If a black man is a threat to any woman, particularly a white woman, he ain't getting out of jail. And no $25,000 bail. I'm gonna tell you that right now. He ain't getting out. When they put Puffy in, did he get out? When they put OJ in, did he get out? See, some things can be a little bit racial, and some things can just be about fairness, with race could be involved in it. Paige Shiver, all I know is you still collecting your money. They can't fire you. They can't talk bad about you because you're the victim. So they ain't start playing that yet. Just watch.
But they have started playing that. They started playing that from day one, right? When the report was written, the way that it was written, remember, like within less than 24 hours, his face was on the news in handcuffs in jail, right?
Wow.
To begin to build the story, because that's the American propaganda engine right there. That's how it starts. So the social in the court of social jurisdiction, he's automatically guilty because yeah, he's locked up. They got him. He must have done it,
Yeah.
and he hasn't gone through the system just yet. I'm glad you said that came from the point of him being unlawfully fired because here's the fallout of this, right? Because his wife and children aren't aren't benefiting from a paycheck that should probably still being paid out to him because of this. Key, I don't know if you wanted to weigh in on this or if you were waiting, or if you know that you actually live with us. I don't think she knows.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Okay. Oh yeah, I was gonna put something in the chat. Yeah, I didn't know I could weigh in. I'm getting ready for work too.
Oh,
um, but I'll say this really quick because I got to start working 4 minutes. You know, for 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 folks of my ilk, I put it that way, and for if you know, you know, I'm gonna mind my business and eat my salad. This ain't my fight because that same type of man is the type that will turn his nose up at me and
oh,
stereotype me and say this is why he doesn't date folks that look like me. So
Ooh.
history is
yeah.
repeating itself. So we can go on and on and on. So I'm gonna mind my business.
Well,
We are
hold on.
minding our business and eating our salads!
Wait a
Exclamation
minute.
point.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Now, for some sisters, yeah, he may turn his nose up. He ain't turned his nose up at you. So
Right.
every every sister must know her beauty.
but
So
but that's I
once you
think
ain't getting that treatment, mm-mm.
that's also a very valid point that I'm glad you gave us that perspective because
Mhm,
uh and this again, not turning this into a direct racial issue, but as Richard
mhm,
pointed out at the beginning of the show, there is a history that we run into where we have an Emmett Till or we have the movie
mhm,
Redwood, right? So
mhm,
if sisters are tapping out because he does have a history of not being with black women, there should be
mhm,
an understanding of that also, right? Because the woman that he's married to, and this is no disrespect to his family and their children, but she's a white
mhm,
woman, a Caucasian woman,
mhm.
and the woman that he was having the affair with is, as you know, she's the
But
same.
here, but wait a minute. Here's the tricky part. When black women said this many years ago, they would stand on solid ground. But the last time I checked, Serena Williams, Venus Williams, and a whole lot of other beautiful black women, oh, they married to Caucasian men, and
Oh,
no one will second guess them.
okay. So I'm glad you said that. This is
Uh,
not a matter of loving who you want to love. This is a
Okay,
matter of there is a history, and our race is exclusively is we are the only race where our men even
right.
have YouTube channels dedicated podcasts to demeaning us and disrespecting us. And so I've not heard that you don't have this even when we marry outside, we don't
Right.
dog our own out. And there's a
That's true.
history, and Venus and Serena both have dated black men, both.
But
Oh,
if
we
you
don't,
remember,
but what? No, no, hold on. I'm saying so. This is apples and oranges now. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
You can look in their history and see them both with black men. Him, I think
yeah,
not.
but
You know what I'm
I'm a
saying? So
person.
it's yeah, but that's what I'm saying. No, no, no,
Right.
no. So that's not it. These are not. We
Well,
don't
wait a
track.
minute.
There's a history. I'm running across it in Tokyo, quite a
Well,
bit, and in Japan.
well, wait a
It's
minute.
so. No, no. I'm just saying. You
Well,
know,
with Serena, well, check this out. See, I remember this very well.
Hold
Serena,
on, but what I'm saying is, I'm not saying you don't have the right to love who you don't want to love. What I'm saying is, love who you love, but
mhm,
don't demean us. And in this situation,
I got you.
you know
But
what
we
I'm
don't.
saying? Yeah. So
We
I think a lot of times because we strong, we do fight, we do defend, etc. And we windmill for those who don't even acknowledge us as human. Not only that, they demean, you know what I'm saying, and
well.
make fun of. And sometimes you know what I'm saying, you get what you get. It's like the brother that was in Texas at the time, Nigerian. He had a channel dogging black women out, and when he got killed by his white woman, his parents wanted us to windmill for no, 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 no. Do you realize what your son did and who he called us?
Well, wait a minute. If we were talking about O.J. Simpson, I'd be quiet. I don't know if Sharon Moore ever had that type of outlook, if he ever demeaned black women. Other black men have. I don't know if
Yes.
he, but I do know something about Serena and Venus because I watched them like a hawk. And there
Mm.
was a comment made about them many, many years ago, but they didn't get it honestly. They got it from their daddy. Their daddy was basically telling them, these black men ain't no good. I want you to marry a white man.
But they've been with black men. The Common, she
Right,
wanted to
right,
marry
right.
Common.
But they
Wasn't
weren't
it?
going
She
to
wanted to
marry one.
marry
But
Common. So
who
don't
did? Who
start.
did? Who did?
Serena was
Serena?
with Common.
Serena?
Yes. And she's with other black men too.
Hold
Yes.
on.
So no.
I am
Hold
so
on, hold on.
grateful she didn't marry Common. I am
But
grateful.
hold on, Richard. Let me say. Hold on. I said what I said, and I got the right to have my opinion,
No,
particularly if
no.
I am on the receiving end. Often, other you don't get to take that away and say it doesn't happen. So no, and so on behalf of me, and I'm hoping one day 1,000 that listen.
Right.
Hey y'all, we need to eat our salads and mind our business. This ain't
I,
somebody who was windmilling for us. You know what I'm saying? So
Well,
hey,
here's what I would say. Everyone's going to have an opinion. And we do know some black men who degrade black women. Now, and then they chase white women. I don't like that. And then we also have some black men that call each other the N-word and also degrade black women. Oh, I don't like that either. So when we look at the Sherron Moore situation, I don't think he should have lost his job because I think they knew about it all along. But when he was losing those football games, because I'm still going to sit here and say this would not be an issue if Michigan had beat Ohio State. And then somehow, when they went to the Big Ten championship, if they would have beat Indiana, this would never come out.
well, let me put something in perspective, and let me ask an honest question to the panel. If let's do an hypothetical real quick. If he was married to a sister and had an affair with a sister, would the results in the news be the same?
absolutely not.
That becomes the question. But because I have to begin to lean towards it not being the same result, unfortunately, unless the media was able to spin it to make us look as we're always portrayed in the media. So I totally understand why if sisters decide to sit it out, right? Because there has been an unfortunate history of a lot of black men dating outside of the race because they're upset with or hate black women, and that becomes their platform. And just like snakes, if you're in a room full of snakes, you don't know which one is going to bite you. You just know they're all snakes. So you can't be careful anywhere you step.
Well, I think years ago that was solid ground. But from what I can see, I see a lot of beautiful black. Listen how I say this. I don't see average black women marrying white men. I see beautiful black women marrying white men. I get Instagram little things where the black girl saying white only or vanilla only or stuff like that. So now when black women said, oh, if this is how you want to play, if you want to say that these white girls are better than us, oh, now we're going to start taking these white boys too. And now we're going to find out who's crying the most. I see that. And it didn't just start with Kerry Washington when she did the show Scandal, but it became more open. Because when she was kissing on the president, beautiful black woman kissing on the president who's a white man, I said, that's going to kick the flood doors in. And boy, it did. It did. So when I go back to Sherron Moore, he got a job that he wasn't supposed to have because a white man, Jim Harbaugh, put it in this contract. When I leave here, the successor coach will be Sherron Moore. Well, Michigan did not want him to be the successor coach. So now you say, well, he was a DEI hire. Maybe. Now, if he had been the black man who claims he's biracial, the coach of Notre Dame, Freeman. Now, if he had been the successor coach, they would be all satisfied with that. This is tricky.
So I don't think that I think Harbaugh saw that he was actually the most qualified person to take the job after him to succeed him.
You sure?
And that's why he had that in his contract. I mean, look at his record. His record continues to reflect that he was
17-8 overall 2-year record, 9-3 this year. But he didn't beat Ohio State, and it looked like Ohio State just beat him up too bad. in that game a few weeks back.
Yeah, and that's possible.
If you remember when, since the mental health issue comes in, remember when Harbaugh got suspended for a couple games a couple years ago when they was on their championship run, and so Sherron Moore was the head coach for a couple games, and I think they won that first game, and he was crying on the sidelines, and I said, something's off. I said something's off. So now, he has a mental health issue. Well, how long has he had it? And did Michigan understand that? Did they know that? See, a good defense lawyer, that Counselor Simon, Joseph Simon, all that's going to come out.
Well, I just thought about something that I'd like to start weighing this against, and I'm going to go back and do some digging, and that's the whole Penn State issue. The whole issue, because now I've got something to base this off of, right? And how
that former coach was African American, he got terminated. He was winning games.
No. I'm talking about the coach that was taking advantage of players, the white coach. And I'll go back. Yes, Sandusky. Yeah, I'm going to go. I want to weigh that because I want to see how long Sandusky was on the payroll once things were found out versus how quick they got rid of this brother.
Ooh, that's a deep, because that goes back. He did that for like 25, 30 years.
Absolutely.
That's a deep.
Absolutely.
So from when I was in school, from what I was told, the really, really big, powerful schools.
Have a great day.
All right, Key. Penn State. All the really, really, really big schools, they have all these scandals going on because you have all the lobbyists. Not the lobbyists, the alumni who are kind of like lobbyists.
Yeah, they are lobbyists.
Putting all that money. So when they put all that money back to their school, you better produce. Now, if you do a little this, a little that, they'll turn and look the other way because they're kind of doing the same thing too.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why, when McKee was saying, hey, a lot of sisters are like, hey, you know what? I don't know if Sherron Moore looked down upon Black women. I don't know. Maybe she's right. Maybe he did. Maybe somebody knew that, and then they put it on him. But if this is an open secret for 2 years, the school knew, but they didn't want to get rid of him right away.
They couldn't. They didn't have the actual loopholes to do it just yet.
So when Paige says, well, hey, I want to break up with you now. Well, why are you breaking up for? Is it because after you had the abortion that was true? You're like, you know what? I'm sick of this. I want to move on with my life. Maybe that's the case. But they asked you, Paige, you were supposed to go in there and speak the truth. Are you sleeping with your boss? Because you're an executive assistant. Are you sleeping with your coach? You're your boss, your immediate boss. No, I'm not. Are you sure? Yes. You're not communicating with him and doing things. You're not having a sexual relationship. I am absolutely sure. You're sure. Yes. Now, a couple months later, because you had the law firm come in here and do an investigation, a couple months later, now you're saying, well, you know what? I was sleeping with him. You know what, Paige? You're getting terminated. We're going to terminate both of you on the same day. That way, there's no confusion. But you didn't want to terminate her, though.
Yeah,
she lied to you.
Yeah.
You asked her a direct question about a sexual relationship, and you lied about it.
Yeah.
That's no different than any other white woman in America that's lied on a Black man when he didn't sleep with her, or maybe he did, but they had a consensual relationship, and you caused holy havoc. But you kept your job, Paige. You kept your job, and you knew when you went in there. Because if you had known, if I go in there and tell the truth, they're gonna fire me too. You wasn't even concerned about your $100,000 a year job.
So let me pause you right there, because now that's the part that I'm confused on. That's the part that I'm confused on. What were her intentions on? She knew the man was married, right? And this isn't saying that it was all her fault, but she knew he was married. Why did she engage in a relationship, in an affair with him in the first place?
No accountability.
Well, it looks horrible to me because she knew that he was on the uptick, right? She knew that he was on the uptick, on the upswing, and then he gets multi-million-dollar contract, right? And then an investigation happens where they hold the same story for a while, for a prolonged amount of time, and all of a sudden I have a change of heart. And her word at this point is no good, just like you were saying, because during the investigation she had one story, and then during this, and then all of a sudden she has a change of heart, And then the conflicting stories that come from the detective and the prosecutor that aren't lining up. Her word it's hard to find, and I'm not saying or victim blaming, but it's hard to find any actual honesty in her side of the story. And like most Americans, most men, especially since I know how men treat women, I would have defaulted to her story. I would have defaulted to her because I would have had to look at it as a man in a powerful position taking advantage of a subordinate. But because of the way these things are playing out and because of the flip-flopping of the story, I can't automatically default to that. And that's if I remove race from it.
What I see, listen to this. We thought after OJ, men, regardless of their color, would have got their act together. No.
No.
We thought after R. Kelly, with young women, men would have got their act together. No. We thought after P. Diddy. No. So, at this point, I am glad he has a good lawyer, Counselor Joseph Simon, if I got his name correct, Joseph Simon.
Yeah.
And I hope they sue the hell out of Michigan State. Out of Michigan for wrongful termination, and that they did not fire him for cause. And if they did try to fire him for cause, they didn't do it correctly. He has to still be paid his full salary. Pay him his money, because allegedly his career of college coaching is over. Even though in the NBA, Joseph, wait a minute, we just went through this with Emike. I can't say his name. Right?
This
the Boston Celtics. He was the coach who was sleeping with a staff. Somehow it got out. She kept her job. He got terminated. Now in the NBA, he's fortunate. He got a second shot in Houston, and he's doing the most. But they're saying with Sherron Moore, he won't get no second chance in college football. His career is over. I just hope his marriage stays together.
I do too. So give me a second. Let me share this screen so I can read the what University of Michigan State said the reason why they fired him. Right?
University of Michigan.
What'd I say?
You said Michigan State. Because I don't want someone to say that we.
Right, you're totally correct. You're just, thank you for that. Thank you for that.
Oh, you said that wrong.
Yeah. Let me see this one. Yeah, it's this one. Okay. And so this article says, according to a statement from the university, the Wolverines have fired Moore for cause after 2 seasons following an investigation that found credible evidence he engaged in an inappropriate relationship with a staff member. Moore will finish his tenure with the Wolverines with an 18-8 overall record as the full-time head coach. All right, and then it goes on to saying who else is going to be there and all that other stuff. But Moore was fired by Michigan for cause after an investigation found the second-year Wolverine head coach to have engaged in an inappropriate relationship with a staff member. U of M head coach football coach Sherron Moore has been terminated with cause because effective immediately following a university investigation. Credible evidence has found that the coach Moore engaged in an inappropriate relationship with a staff member. This conduct constitutes a clear violation of university policy, and U of M maintains zero tolerance for such behavior, Michigan wrote in a statement. So Michigan State, or Michigan, U of M, why are you not taking the same force to Paige Shiver or however you pronounce her name? Because
I'm sorry, I've been saying it wrong. Paige Shiver. Shiver. You're saying it right.
Shiver. Okay. Because she engaged in the exact same behavior. He wasn't in the relationship by himself. She went through the exact same investigation as a witness, and she admitted to violating the exact same policy. And she's still employed.
My thing is, if they say, well, by policy, we couldn't fire her because our policy is not written to where a subordinate can be fired for sleeping with their boss. Okay, then you should change your policy. But is there a policy that when they call you in to ask you a question and you lie about it, isn't that grounds for dishonesty? Isn't that grounds for termination? That's just like you calling me in and saying, Richard, did you take that $10 out of the University of Michigan tip fund? No, I didn't. Then a few months later, I make a bet with Jay Glass and I lose it. Oh, shit. Arr. Yeah, I went in there and I took the money, but Jay Glass made me take the money, so you need to fire him because he's my boss. It's the same trick. It's the
Yeah.
same trick.
So
So she
I
was protected.
yeah, and I do agree with you on this, especially when it comes to maintaining employment, right? And they can remove him from the roles as the head coach, so on and so forth, and place him on some form of administrative leave. But the same thing that happens to him should be happening to her, and vice versa, because they were co-conspirators in all of this, as it were. Matter of fact, she's the one who gave up the details. She's the whistleblower.
And look, I keep saying this. What if she would have said he raped me?
Oh goodness. Oh goodness. And as I read that transcript,
She could
remember
say
there was already an allegation of a history of DV
there's
towards
domestic
the
violence.
yeah, domestic violence towards the victim. So that stage has already been set and prepped.
So if there's a history of domestic violence, you never reported it to Michigan, you never reported to the cops because you were afraid of losing your job because he was your boss. Um, and then I guess the next thing you know, you'll say, and then uh, two two of the times he raped me.
Yeah. And
See,
unfortunately that
now I can expand.
yeah,
I was so traumatized that he raped me on two of the occasions. Just two that I can recall. She could make any. Good God, I'm surprised she hasn't got a hold of Gloria Allred.
oh my God.
Because if that dude tried to fire her, boy, she'd put $100 million law. Whatever his salary was it 30 million or something for a
Yeah,
couple years? She'd
30.
put twice that number for her lawsuit. So they can't fire her. In fact, do you even want to move her to a different department? Maybe you can do that. Maybe.
Yeah. This
Because
is
you want to still keep her as the executive assistant to the coach because she's still on the staff. Nobody's
as
saying anything.
executive assistant. And even with them saying executive assistant, the actual definition of that, according to another article, was that it has a wide range of things that it could be. And I would like to actually go and see what those other executive assistants are being paid and how long it took for them to actually get the amount to get their salaries.
Well, this is where I feel a little guilty. An executive assistant can be paid anything. It
Yeah,
all ties with the beholder. So,
absolutely.
one coach at one school may get $1 million, another coach may get 5 million per season. So an
Yeah,
executive assistant at one school may get $1,000 per week or per whatever, and then another executive assistant at another big school may get a lot more. So to me, it's not the salary, it's the fact that you didn't want this coach, you wanted to fire him, but you wanted to do it to where it wouldn't look like it was racially motivated, and so you knew about the girl. It was an open secret for 2 years. The whole campus knows. Which, if the whole campus knows, you know what that tells me? Sherron's wife knew as well.
so they followed again. I read a ton of freaking between last night and today. I looked through a ton of different articles. So apparently his wife and his affair partner were following each other on social media.
They knew about each other.
They knew about each other. Again, so what are the intentions of the person knowing that this is a married man and her continuing to pursue this thing? Now that doesn't take away, he might have been blessed with the gift of gab to get gals, and he might have gamed her into it. I get it. But as
Yeah.
an at some point there has to be a boundary to say, well, this is a married man. His game ain't that deep. I can't get sucked into this.
Hey, listen to this. What if Paige had gone on and had his child? I guess that's too much evidence
Huh.
because you can already see Paige can already take a look at what he's already produced with his wife.
Yeah.
Those three beautiful girls. So Paige can be like, well, I see how they turned out. Let me go on a roll and see how mine turns out. But she said, no, that's too much evidence.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
did he really talk her into having an abortion, or was that part of her game plan too? This is
Again,
so,
that's why I question her intentions of it all.
look, if any man, including myself, if you're working, you're the boss, the president, supervisor, whatever, and you have a woman working directly underneath you as your assistant, She could turn your life into a living a living nightmare. Remember when former Vice President Pence said he won't be in a room with a woman, and all the women criticized him?
Yeah,
He
yeah,
don't look so crazy now, does he?
he
He doesn't
doesn't.
look so out of touch.
And
So
but
yes,
I don't want to just put that responsibility on
men.
women, because there's a discipline that men need to have as well, right? If you have a woman, if you have a wife, one should be enough, right? We're too simple to try and balance, do all these damn balancing acts. That's why we always get caught when doing stupid shit. so especially like you were saying, in a power position, understand that becomes leverage, and those are the things that will bring you down. Those are the simple tasks and tests that you can easily brush aside by simply being disciplined and saying this ain't a good look. So I
But
don't agree with former Vice President Pence.
well, but I kind of I see his point, and here's what I'll say: if you went to our leaders of this great country or our good country, those men in the House and the Senate, and you were to go and investigate all the prostitutes in Washington D.C. and all the ones that get flown in there,
Oh yeah.
how many of those so-called morally outstanding men would pass?
Oh, not many. I did a segment early this year or late last year talking about the amount of money the taxpayers have had to pay victims of sexual assault from the White House.
Now,
Billions of dollars.
that's just from the White House staff, not from
Well,
Congress.
politicians in general.
Okay,
And
so
so I
my,
had
my
the
right. So my thing is, if you show me a man in power and wealth or influence, I'm going to show you women coming for him.
sure.
Whether they have good intentions or bad intentions, they're coming. So when you always make this comment, it drives me crazy. You say, "Hey, if you're in the environment, you cannot use drugs." You show me an environment that's full of minorities with no jobs and a lot of liquor stores, and you infiltrate drugs into that environment, I guarantee you, I'll take that environment down and keep it down forever and ever and ever. It
Oh,
won't
yeah.
matter about them saying yes or no. It's the fact that you put into that environment. It's not about the nurturing of mom and dad. It's that environment. And if you have a person of great power, and in that person's environment are men and women who are coming for that person, one or two is going to get through. It's just a matter of how you handle it. Now, so if you have 10 CEOs, does that mean those 10 CEOs are going to sleep with your assistants? No. But will a certain percentage of those 10 CEOs sleep with your assistants and get away with it? Yes.
Unfortunately,
Yes.
my
Because
mentor,
it's money.
I've had a lot of soldiers under my care when I was in a position of leadership, and because I was logistics by sheer nature of the beast, there were a lot of female soldiers that I was in charge of, and I was conducting a counseling session, initial counseling session, and that's just where we set out expectations of our soldiers, timelines, the expectation timelines, goals, and the way ahead. So I had my soldier in the office, and I'm going over her counseling statement, and it only took 10-15 minutes to capture it all, get it typed up, and then get signatures on it, right? And then she left my office, and my mentor came over, and he said, "Hey, cuz, I'm gonna tell you this one time, man. If you want to keep your uniform on, don't you ever have no female, don't have a woman behind closed doors with just you by yourself ever again in your military career."
Yeah.
And I
Facts.
didn't.
Oh, yeah, look, I'm 1,000. Yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't, and it was to keep myself safe, and to keep her safe, right?
I had
Because
I had one woman come in my office when I didn't have my assistants who were women. She was there 5 minutes and screamed sexual harassment on me, and I didn't sexually harass her. If she filed a lawsuit, I'll stop here because it was
yeah,
reported in the SACB newspaper. And I had another woman file a report, a wrongful termination. That was reported in the newspaper. So a lot of times when I'm not talking for free. I'm talking from years of living and experiencing and going through lawsuits myself. So when I see people quick to jump on Sherron Moore and criticize and condemn him, same thing for Puffy. You've never been in a position of power. That's why you see people in positions of power. They're not so quick to criticize others unless they know they have a squeaky clean slate. And most leaders do not, but they act like they do. I don't like that. This Sherron Moore, it reminds me of 50 Cent doing this documentary that I have not watched regarding P. Diddy.
I haven't either. I probably will, though. We'll see.
P. Diddy did a lot of stuff wrong. But that whole industry that he's involved in is based on wrong. So I don't know. I hope that 50 Cent has never done anything wrong in his entire life. Because if he has, they're waiting on him to make a mistake too.
Oh yeah. I think his timing is crazy, especially at a point where the man can't defend himself because he's locked up. But 50 has been like that for years. That's just been his thing. Dwight. Welcome in, my friend. How's it going?
Pretty good.
Good. So you wanting to weigh in on former Coach Moore?
Yeah, did you hear the news today now?
No. What?
The college is soliciting from any student.
Oh, so now they're trying to expand the hunt.
Yeah.
Dwight, I'm glad you brought that up because I got this written down. Remember when I said she could scream that she was raped by him on 1 or 2 occasions and that validated? Somebody went on Facebook and said that this Instagram or OnlyFans star Mia Sorority said that he had went inside her DMs trying to get at her. Mia Sorority had to issue out on X a statement clearing up the information because now they're trying to smear him. So here she is, out of her exact words. Mia Sorority posted a strongly worded denial on X, saying the DMs came not from her, but from her ex assistant. For clarification, Sherron did not ask me for anything in exchange for tickets, she wrote. This story was false, and I at no point posted about it anywhere in my socials. Any communication has been with my ex-assistant. This story was all a misunderstanding. See, now they're going to try to destroy this man's credibility.
Oh, absolutely.
Whether you're white or black, it doesn't matter. Him being a black man, and we're considered a threat. We're always a threat. So they're going to try to find any woman that he may have even said, "Oh, you look very nice today." Oh, that's sexual harassment. Oh, shouldn't have said that. And they're going to run it all.
So where are you at?
I think the college is taking a stand based on, like, it's a common thing really anywhere you work that it could be construed that the reason that you're not allowed to have relationships with the subordinates like that is because you can be construed as you're using your position of authority and stuff, and that's influencing that person's decision whether they have a relationship with you or not.
But the rule should go both ways.
I really would like to see this woman that just cost him, I don't know what, $30 million, a family, and I mean, oh my God.
But I got this written down. Rules for fraternization should be enforced equally, regardless of the power structure in the workplace environment. Both employees should have the same loss. It shouldn't just be the supervisor. It should not be like that.
And maybe she decided to have that relationship with him because she felt that, that she didn't have another choice because of his position of authority.
And that could be a possibility also, because I won't rule that out. Because I briefly spoke about fraternization in the Army, because those sometimes.
Yeah, I heard you.
Yeah, that could be a thing. So I can't rule that out. However, if that was the case, would she have had the ability to turn that into the proper authorities, or was she simply fearful of doing it? Right, because I think if
she had a support system to back her up for being a whistleblower.
Yeah, I mean, so if she was uncomfortable with the situation for a 2-year period, then that's something that's reportable and should have been reported, and it shouldn't have been well known around campus as it was.
As
But I still
long
can't take what you said
as
out of
long as you have it in your HR rule book that if a supervisor is caught sleeping with it, that supervisor is going to get fired. I guarantee you, if a woman is your subordinate, she's going to do everything she can to get you to sleep with her. I guarantee you that. And if you don't sleep with her, then she's going to still string sexual harassment because you didn't sleep with her. See, this is some bullshit. I'm telling you, if you're going to fire somebody for breaking the company rules, those rules should apply to that subordinate the same as to that manager. And as long as you have men who are being promoted and they have women in their work arena around them, and those women know they can sleep with that man and cost him his job, but yet they can keep their job, they can keep their job.
Man,
So-
I can tell you from military experience, like when you would go TDY with National Guard or reserve units that were what do you call them? Not co-ed, however you call it.
Yeah.
Mixed.
Yeah.
It was just off the charts.
Off
I
the-
hated being in those units.
Yeah.
Just off the charts, man.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's I just feel like that's an unequal power structure because that tells a woman I can use what I have to use to get ahead. And if I know my boss likes me and I can get him to sleep around on his wife, maybe I do it. And if things don't go the way I want them to go after we're done sleeping around, I'll throw it back in his face and cause him to lose his job. But I'll still be there working. That's BS.
And I don't disagree with you totally. I don't. I really don't disagree with you totally. But it's again, I have to look at it from a point of being disciplined, simply being disciplined as a man in power, and not trying to take, or not just taking an opportunity to get in on that, because you don't always have to do that, right? If you know that you've got a relationship at home, or if you're in a relationship, let it pass. And plus, the rules are going to show, and they state that you're going to suffer more than the other party involved.
Right, but I keep going back to the fact of regardless of what a man says or does, those rules are set up.
Now you could really go down the rabbit hole with this. She could have, at first, it could have been like a consensual thing.
Sure.
And then she could have like, hey, you need to keep hooking up with me now, or I'm gonna.
Okay, yeah. Rule that out either.
I mean, you don't know anything. This is just, you're living off of what's coming out in the media,
right?
This guy.
Because the rules have no accountability. If the subordinate sleeps with you, there's no accountability for that subordinate. So
maybe there was no one that touched anyone at all. Maybe she just told him, "Hey, I'll tell people this," even though it wasn't true. And and then once somebody throws your name out there,
it's sullied. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I can't.
I've seen females in the military do it.
Yeah.
As long as these rules stay the way they are, these HR rules and all these work environments for companies and universities, as long as the rules are, there's no accountability for the subordinate. They sleep with their boss. You'll keep having this happen over and over. It happened with Bobby Petrino. I think back in Arkansas. Gosh, this has happened a number of times. It's no different when a high school or a college says, we can't afford to put armed security on our grounds to prevent school shootings. But in the inner cities where black people are considered uncivilized and the black kids go to high school, they got security and they got a metal detector. So as long as you don't put up these guardrails to protect people, it's just another day. You'll hear about this over and over and over and over again.
And I don't want to put out there what I do or where I work, but I can just tell you it transcends right from the military right to I'm like, I just go do my job.
It's still it's prevalent there too.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
James, I keep saying because
it's even worse because how the facilities are designed, it perpetuates it because it has crawl spaces everywhere for
holy cow.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Listen, if a woman walks in the room and she's dressed somewhat provocative, you can't say anything. You can't say, "Well, here you look nice today." Nope, can't say that. So if a woman walks in the room, comes and gives you a hug and says, "You really, I like them slacks. Them slacks look good on you. You should wear those more often." You nod your head and say, "Oh, my wife did a good job dressing me." But you can't tell her that, but she can tell you that. See, that's
I was in Iraq.
Unless, and I don't care whether it's a male or female, unless the person I'm dealing with in my office is adamant or specifically requests the door to be shut, and in that case, I'll request the coworker to be there as well.
Yeah.
Like we give each other heads up so that they're listening to what's going on. And what a lot of people don't know is my supervisor's office is right next door to mine, and she could hear a mouse fart a block away. So, it's like that. You have to cover yourself, because I am telling you, people will make shit up about you.
One of the times I found myself actually being sexually harassed. It blew my mind, because I didn't know what the fuck I didn't know what was going on at the time, and I had a battle buddy, a female, with me, and it was a female of higher rank, and she said, "Ooh, damn, you look good. What you doing after work?" I'm like, "I'm in Iraq. Where you from?" I like, "Ooh, wow." And I'm looking at my battle buddy like, "Is this happening in real life?"
Yes.
And I was like, "Well, I'm just trying to get back to my wife." "Well, we in Iraq."
Oh yeah.
And I'm thinking like, what, I can't really do shit about this. I feel powerless about this situation. Yeah. I'm like, I don't want to be in this situation. And even if I do report it, who's going to believe that?
Now, here's my thing. I've seen it to where, like he said, a woman comes on to you at work, whether she's your subordinate or your superior. You're like, "No, I'm gonna be faithful to my wife." What? You're gonna be what? All these men running around cheating on their wives, but the man that I like, you want to be faithful?
And if she is scorned,
you
can tell HR just make up anything, and the burden of innocence is left on you.
And if HR doesn't like you, if you got a position in that company, and the HR's friend or relative didn't get that position, it's a wrap.
Yeah.
See, that's why I said the power dynamic. They always try to make it like it's the man that has the power dynamic and that he's always harassing women. That's not completely wrong. But women can turn around and play them same games and get you in trouble too. So to me, it kind of balances out. Unless you put the same rules of accountability. Hey, in this company, you can't sleep with nobody in the company. Whether it's
I've had a lot of female supervisors, and I have been just like you said, James. Same thing happened to me. More than once.
You have to put it in your HR rules. In this company, you can't sleep with your boss, your coworker. You can't do any of that. Now, they didn't come back and tell you the numbers. 25% of our relationships have started in the workplace. Were created in the workplace. But the only way you stop that kind of stuff from happening is you have to make the rules accountable for everyone equally.
Yeah. And that's not all. Even with that 25% number, it's not always interdepartmental. Right? It's sometimes extra departmental. So sometimes those relationships start out external to people. They just happen to work in close proximity.
Okay.
But so the getting back to former Coach Moore, you said something that I absolutely agree with, and this is also as a former sexual assault response coordinator, and the rules have to be applied equally, both up and down. I understand the spirit of the law, whereas it's supposed to incentivize the person in power not to jeopardize their integrity. It also can incentivize people who don't have that same power to go chase after with no repercussion. And that's the unfortunate balance and the truth of what we're looking at and what we're dealing with. And to the points that Dwight, you were bringing in, right? We can't take any of what you were saying off the table, because it very well could have been, well, we did it once, and if you don't keep this going, guess who's in trouble? Right? She could have had that.
But Dwight, like I had said earlier, if the school says, well, you know what, She's not so innocent herself. We asked her initially. She lied about it. You were dishonest. We're going to fire you. She's going to snap them with a lawsuit that's twice the size of his contract.
Yeah.
So you can't even fire her now because you didn't do it initially.
So he was irrational, and he I think he broke into her apartment or something.
No, the door was open.
Yeah, the doors were unlocked.
Oh, okay.
Hey, this is a great point. Check this out. If they say, well, the door was open, but she didn't give him permission. If a cop comes to your house and knocks on your door, and your door is locked,
have a warrant.
They gotta have a warrant. But if your door is open, they walk right in. They didn't need a warrant then. Oh, the door was open. See, this is a double talk.
No. What I was going to go to is so if she is the one who is, how do we use the word, blackmailing? I guess you would call it. If she was the one that was blackmailing him, that could have drove this guy to make irrational decisions and stuff because he's scared he's going to lose his family. He's scared he's going to lose his job. And she might have. I've seen this happen in the Army to people, and he might have just, So we can't assume this guy is guilty of anything.
Yeah.
What we can assume is that he had a mental health issue. Was it prior to him dating her, or did he have it the whole time he was dating her? He didn't just have it since last Monday when she broke up with him, and then he went into the office on Wednesday, found out he was getting fired. He didn't have that mental health issue just then. I don't believe that. So Counselor Joseph Simon, I'm sure he's putting all this together.
And then the college put it out publicly.
Yeah,
they're soliciting stuff from the students. They don't just do that. They have to have. There's something behind them asking that. They think something went on.
Wait a minute. They defamed his character already because we don't really know until he had his day in court. So it's his word. It's his word against her word. So
oh shit!
I don't think anyone knows where this is going until it gets blown up.
Wow. Here's what I do know. I have a strong feeling that somebody else is going to lose their job. If it's not the athletic director Ward Manuel, because if this has been an open secret for 2 years, Sherron Moore should have been gone a long time ago.
Well, look at Penn State. Look at that whole mess that happened. I mean, that was
but that was deep.
Earth-ending crap that went on. That just completely, literally took down that whole college. It was so.
Yeah, but that's a little more.
Everybody knew that was going on.
Yeah, but that was a little
like this. The crap that was going on, everybody knew it, and this was for years.
Yeah, but that was more insidious because you had Joe Paterno, the legendary coach. Sherron Moore wasn't no legendary coach.
Yeah.
So this is kind of it's wrong. With the Penn State, that's like Washington, D.C. corruption. We're going to have to tolerate this for a long time before we fix this.
Yeah.
It's a different level of corruption, in my opinion.
I tell you what, you all have, you've made me rethink my initial stance on the situation, because on the surface, I looked at it and I was like, yeah, he deserves all of this.
No.
He deserves his day in court.
And that's exactly the truth about it. He deserves his day in court. And after reading the articles and reading the different actual stories, the conflicting details, and like you were saying, right, it can go even deeper, right? Especially now that the college is soliciting quote unquote people or victims. I think they're trying to get ahead of. They might be trying to get ahead of the fact that they fired him unlawfully.
Hey. Here's another point, just to throw it out there that you never heard on no other podcast. What if she had an abortion and she got pregnant again? What if she's pregnant right now? See, if I'm that defense attorney of Moore, I'm asking all kinds of questions. Are you pregnant right now? Are you planning on having an abortion right now? Who's the father Who's the father if you are pregnant right now?
We don't know how long ago this started and ended. The Human Resource Department could have been working this the whole time.
Oh, yeah.
They work too.
Human Resources can work really slow on stuff because they make sure they cross their T's and dot their I's. This could have been like a year and a half ago, and they've just been working it, and they finally made a decision.
No, it wasn't Dwight. It wasn't Dwight. This happened a few months ago. They hired an outside law firm, and the law firm came back and said there's no evidence. They came back a few months ago and said there was no evidence of
Oh,
any wrongdoing.
yeah,
But the secret,
because
the
they had
open
the same story. They were both sticking to the same story.
But the open secret, they were seeing each other for 2 years. The whole campus knew, which means Sherron Moore's wife knew, which I kind of hope that she did. Because if she did, and she stays with Sherron, great. So she already knew what time it was.
Maybe they had a relationship that they weren't together. They weren't, they were staying together for their kids.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it was okay for them to have relations outside because they were just staying together for their kids. Tons of people do that.
Yeah.
They hate each other's guts, but they stay together for those kids, you
Yeah.
know, and then once their kids are old enough, then they're like,
Yeah.
Listen, if there is
it could be so many things.
No, Dwight, that's a great point. If there's an allegation that someone is sleeping with somebody on campus and they're in a big time position, the number one position, more important than the college president is the coach of the University of Michigan football team. Because I think he is the highest paid person on campus because of the revenue they bring in. If there's an allegation he's sleeping with a subordinate, that ain't gonna go more than 6 to 8 months, unless they're winning.
See, I got to look a little deeper into.
That's what I was meaning by the Penn State thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I got you. Well, gentlemen, do you all have anything else? I need to put Christmas decorations up because I haven't yet. So I guess we can. Well, we don't need to do it around the horn because this will be an ongoing thing. Dwight, I'll send you a message if you want to hop back on and we begin to talk about this as more details come out in the news about it, and we're able to learn more of what's going on.
I didn't even know you were on. I was just scrolling. I seen you on there. I'm like, hey.
Yeah. So this was an impromptu, something that we talked about last night, and I think it was very necessary because the points that you both made in light of this future case, especially in the court of public opinion, where a lot of people would have probably jumped into this arena with my initial thoughts of like, well, he cheated and he did this, blah, blah, blah. But going through the actual conversation, it's like, wait a minute, there are multiple different layers to this that do need to be said, do need to be exposed, and do need to be expounded on. So we'll continue
this onion needs peeled.
Yeah, it does. It absolutely does.
Hey, and here's the funny thing. If 30 women come out and say that he tried to get with them and he slept with them, maybe 2 are telling the truth. Maybe 2.
I don't know, man. I'll give you Bill Cosby. I would have never believed good old Jell-O pudding guy. Hey.
No.
I would have never believed it.
Hold on. He may have been guilty of 2, but he wasn't guilty of all 30. That's so funny you said that. Because those girls knew when they walked. No, they weren't girls. They were women. They knew when they walked into his apartment or wherever he was meeting them at, what time it was. And they knew he was married. And they did not work for him. And they knew when he was, hey, let me get you some of this.
He was Dr. Huxtable, man.
Dr. Huxtable.
All right. He didn't do all those women. He may have did 1 or 2, but he didn't do all of them. That's the same thing for Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson may have harassed some women, but the woman he went to jail for raping, he didn't rape her.
Yeah, that one was tough.
Were you in the military, Richard?
I was. Air Force.
Did you went through basic training at EIT?
I went to basic training, Lackland Air Force Base.
So you were Air Force?
Yeah.
So was you co-ed?
We had females going through basic training in the other squadrons. Yeah.
But you got released on the weekends to go to the hotels?
They were pretty strict back then. So they would have like little functions, like on a Saturday. They may allow the girls and the boys in basic training to go to this little dance on base, and then you'd have to be back at the dorm or the squadron by a certain time.
I feel robbed.
So the girls and guys, they would kiss a little bit. They wouldn't really.
Did Combat Med School San Antonio? You had the male platoon and female platoon, and within no kidding, 3 or 4 weeks, you started forming up the 3rd platoon, and that was the pregnant females.
Golly.
So here's what I'll say. Here's what I'll say about the Air Force women. Air Force women were not coming up pregnant unless they were married. They were not doing that. I didn't see that. They were normally 99%, all the Air Force women, if they were pregnant, they were married. They weren't just having babies. Not these Air Force women, not from what I saw. Now, maybe I didn't see every Air Force woman in the entire Air Force.
These are all like 17 to 18-year-old kids. They could not keep their hands off each other.
I
Here's caught them in the dumpster, man.
I think Air Force women are a little bit more, I don't want to say pretentious, but they're going to be on birth control.
I need to do a quick I got to do a quick shout out before we end this live to Patriot Laser. If you need anything laser etched, engraved, or whatever, regardless of the type of surface it is, especially if you have any type of pistols, cups, tumblers, so on and so forth, Patriot Laser, go to the website, look up patriotlaser.com. And when I talk about freaking spectacular artwork, and I might actually get him on one day so we can go through his catalog, but absolutely spectacular for gifts, presents, anything of like anniversaries, and they're genuine, one-of-a-kind pieces that are uncanny. They are amazing. I've seen some of the custom weapons he's done, those guys have done. It's phenomenal. I can't rant enough about Patriot Laser. They are fantastic. Highly recommended when you want to get anything engraved. So I wanted to throw that out there. So with that being said, as always, we will continue to follow up on this story as details present themselves. This is just the first segment of what might end up being a very, very long case. So, gentlemen, thank you all for hanging out with me. And for everybody who was watching, who watched and tuned in with us, we appreciate it. God bless. And go ahead.
Polar Knights, I see your comments. I see you, man. I see you.
Wolverines.
No. So with that being said, thank you all. God bless and Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays or whatever you celebrate. We appreciate that. But yeah, and good night.
Good night.